Station gang, yes, we are late. Fable, apologies. Your boy was knocking out the last second punch list, moving out of the old house into the new. It's over with. I'm done. I'm here for good. I'm locked in. I got bloody knuckles from scrubbing bathrooms, but I'm here with you guys. I made the sacrifice. Made sure I had to be here, even though we're 15 minutes late. I appreciate all you guys for joining us. Welcome to Ink and Insights, everybody. As always, our weekly highlight breakdown show, talking about our favorite comics from Marvel, DC, Image, and the Indies, all our favorite moments from last week's and It's Amazing's books. As always, I'm joined by my homie E. How we doing, brother? How's your Wednesday been?
Wednesday's been fantastic, man. Been waiting all day to be able to talk with you about all these comics and stuff like that. But man, like, congratulations, kudos! Like, it's awesome that you finalized everything.
We threw the fucking ring into Mount Doom. You know what I mean? The quest is over with.
There you go.
My wife and I are good at procrastination, dude, if we're good at nothing else. And it's like all the little things, the million little things that you forget about when you're moving out of a place that you got to take care of. So yeah, but happy to finally be across the finish line. Now just gotta spread out and get ourselves acquainted here in the new digs. But yeah, man. Another great week for books. Like, I know I say this, and I say this about saying this every week, but man, so many comics, like, really, really impressive books this past week from some of the industry's best. Absolute Martian Manhunter. We're not covering that tonight, but dropped issue 2. There was a lot that was amazing that we left out, but we still are focused on 3 great ones tonight. We're going to talk about Absolute Wonder Woman, Assorted Crisis Events, of course, which was a banger, and Power Fantasy. So I like how we're keeping it DC and Indies tonight. I'm definitely here for that, but dude, we got to start it off with some Marvel talk, right? And I think you put me onto this little bit of I guess news. What would you say? I don't want to call it news per se, but
yeah, I would not call this news at all.
No, the latest episode of Observations included a good old Liefeld, a patented Liefeld rant about the I guess the current state of the X-Men comic book line in short. But yeah, dude, how did you first come across this? Are you a regular listener of his podcast? I listen here and there. Usually when an episode makes some headlines, I tune in. I do not tune into him regularly. And listening to this episode and catching up on it, the first half, guys, is Rob being Rob. I mean, there's points. We were talking about it, in the direct messages, but there's points in the first half of this podcast where he's talking about Extreme Studios being the number 2 publisher in 1995, and he's all about his numbers and his place in history during the 90s. He's always trying to make that point. The trauma is real there, so some of that is tough to get through just because I hear it so often from him. He just meanders. He always meanders into that subject, into that deep swamp. But regardless, the second half was a call to arms, kind of, for the X office to get its shit together. And the fact that none of these books have really landed, and that they that it's been a failure above all else, this transition out of Krakoa and into the new age. But yeah, anyway, sorry for rambling.
You're channeling that Rob Liefeld energy. I love it. Do you have the receipts?
Listen, I got the receipts. You can talk to the guys. 1993, we were selling comics. I had 25 guys. I was working. Okay,
and I paid them top dollar
after book after book. Yeah, but yeah, dude, how did you come across this in the first place?
Dude, I'm a sucker for the comic book news websites, and I'm not a regular listener, but I have to say, Rob Liefeld, he's entertaining, right? So, like, every once in a while, I dip my toes in after I've done listening to like Off Panel and Ink Pulp and all the good comic book related stuff. But when Bleeding Cool ran an article saying basically Rob Liefeld calls out like the entire X office and calls for firing. So I was like, well, let me dip my toes in and let me find out what it is. It's probably just Rob being Rob, saying how he works with, Jeff Loeb and all the numbers and blah, blah, blah. Dude was legitimately ticked off, though. Like, he went on one in this episode where you could tell there was a level of passion for the words that he was speaking that it felt more honest and legitimate than I think
Than you
he
usually get
normally
from him.
is, you know?
Agreed.
And I was just
Absolutely.
like, wow, like, and it's a weird situation when I'm sitting here going, I kind of agree with Rob.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a surreal
When he was
feeling.
I got so much X-Men original art. I got more X-Men art than just about anybody. I'm a collector of X-Men art. He's like, you could call me an investor. I'm an investor, and I'm not happy with my investment right
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, he was definitely fired up, man. And he had cause to be though. Like I think it was definitely a case of the more you thought about it, the more you real and it's something I haven't really put front and center in my day to day just because I'm not reading these books. But when you step back and look at it now, and all the mixed bag that was the announcements and the rollout and Tom Brevoort going over and running the office is just like it feels like it. None of these books is really none of them.
Well,
I
yeah,
Storm maybe a couple character books, but that's it.
if you go down the list, like X Factor canceled, NYX canceled, X Force canceled. What's the latest one that just got canceled? Sentinels canceled. Weapon X-Men canceled. Like, come on,
That's
guys. And
crazy.
the thing that we asked for
That's
with this
crazy.
relaunch, like I say we, right? But like I feel like I heard this from the comic book collecting community is like keep it slim, keep it tight, and give us what we want, right? Like, if you want to go back to basics, that's fine, dude. Like, X-Men 97 is in the zeitgeist. People are loving that 90s feeling. Cool. Lean into that, but don't spread yourself so damn thin that nothing feels special, nothing feels exciting. And I know when we all heard that Tom Brevoort was going to be over the X office, we were kind of like, oh, well, this is the dude that ushered in like a really great time for Avengers, right? It was the same time that Brian Michael Bendis came on. It was a really good time. So we were like, maybe this is going to reinvigorate things. Maybe the Ender Krakoa isn't as bad as, we all thought it, or at least I thought it was going to be. Maybe this is going to be a cool, fresh start. And then he came out and kind of played that I'm the smartest guy in the room thing and said, like, no, this is the way we're going to do it. And here's why it's going to work. And screw everything that you want. Kind of like it's got that same Nick Lowe freaking energy about Spider-Man's, like where he can't be married. It's like, damn, dude. And it's so
Yeah.
frustrating to see how obvious the answer is to make things. It's not even, you can't even say bold and exciting, but like, just give us what we freaking want. I mean, that's all we're asking for, and it's right there in front of them, and they just can't see it.
Yeah, his answer to the problem was Scott Snyder. I don't think that's realistic nor but I think he's on the right track. I think you need one of those
Yeah.
writers who can really structure out and really lead the way. You know what I mean? And I think they're few and far between. Obviously, they had one with Hickman, but
Hmm.
those kind of guys are rare where they can kind of sit at the head of the table and put out comic books uh, at the same time. But yeah, I don't think Snyder could ever leave DC as entrenched as he
Well,
is now.
there's no way that. Yeah, exactly. He's the architect, essentially. Like him, Kelly Thompson, and Jason Aaron are the architects of the absolute universe. Why would they leave? They got a
Right.
really great thing going. If Marvel were smart, and and we heard about pitches that they made, right? They tried to get Rick Remender back to be over the X line. Rick Remender, being a smart individual, said no. There were offers that were put out there. So you can't say that they didn't try, but I'd be willing to bet that their offers were pretty low,
Yeah, for
insultingly
sure.
low. And seeing, I mean, Hickman, like we all love Hickman, right? There's like very few and far between when there's a dud that he delivers. They ran Hickman off. Like, what is there to do to trust Marvel that even if you're the person that's going to take over this line, what is there to say like you're going to be safe and they're going to give you the room where you can deliver these stories that you can?
Yeah. Who? Let me ask you this, man. Who is in charge over there? Who is the number one? Who is calling these shots? Like, do you know?
I mean,
I don't.
Tom. It's got to be Tom. He's the head of the X office.
Tom feels like the go between the corporate higher ups and like because he's the old time Marvel guy, right? So he kind of feels like the guy who can try to stick up for the comics and everything that the fans want and still deal with like whatever corporate stuff he's got to. He kind of feels like stuck in the middle to me. And at this point, I don't know if he's a benefit or like has he been there too long? Do you think? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
very clearly.
I think it's and that's sad to say because of how many classics he's overseen, but I think it's just I don't know. It's just
Well,
loaded. Part of it feels like Marvel in the 90s where you had all these longtime guys um, kind of stuck in the middle, and some of them have kind of given in, I think, to this corporate way, or
mhm.
you know what I mean. This new direction where some of them are. I think there's not enough people fighting the good fight over there.
Well, it reminds me a lot of a great breakdown that I heard on YouTube somewhere discussing the nature of John Byrne and him being a company man. What I can't recall what channel was that was breaking that down. Was it? Could it have been Doctor Doom's fan club?
It very well could
It
have.
very well could have been, right? It feels very much like Tom Brevoort is that same company man mantra that John
Very
Byrne
true.
had at that time. So I think he's just towing the company line right now because you got him, he's the senior editor over the X line. You got CB Cebulski above him. You got Kevin Feige and Dan Buckley above him that are over the greater Marvel umbrella. Regardless, it's like at this point, like who cares? Who cares who to point the finger to? Like,
No,
it,
I'd just love to be a
yeah.
fly on the wall during one of those.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's one of those things I used to love about Marvel were those retreats, and those huge, weekend camps where they would plan out the next quarter or more of books and initiatives and things like that, and that type of energy, collective creative energy that they would try to put together and harness, and it just I think they were onto a good thing there. I think that's definitely beneficial. You see people like Tinian doing it now in their own way, but I think I don't know, man. I'm curious to see like from start to finish how one with some of these books.
Mhm. Well, and Fable makes a good point here too. He called out Dan Bogart, Dan Buckley, and David Gabriel too. David Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken, was the primary name because he specifically says that he's the guy that's basically in charge of all of the contracts that Marvel puts out, right? Including Rob Liefeld's when he was doing his books right there. So he does have, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that. If this is the dude responsible for lowballing and the lowest page rates, industry wide for professional creators, then right there, like again, it's one of those weird things. It's hard to disagree with the dude. Like Liefeld, I
Facts.
feel like he put it on Front Street in a way that nobody else has, and it was really kind of just refreshing to be able to hear someone close to the situation tell it like it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Let me get to the chat real quick and say what up to everybody before we move on to our next little bit.
Before we fix the industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, Fable making sure we're on time. Station brother, hope you are well.
Just building the
Edson in the
anticipation.
building. Edson Station, bro. Good to see you. We had Omega in here first. Now you are not late, bro. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
we were right on time for you tonight, man. Hope you all are doing well. Saw some of y'all last night. We had a great chat with Ann Bertram over on Nick's channel. You guys make sure you catch the rewind if you didn't catch us live, but that was incredible, man. Still riding that
Yes.
high. Rogue in the building.
What up,
Station
Rogue?
brother. Good to see you. James Phelps in the building. Station bro. We got Simpleton. All the homies, man. Hope
Dude,
everybody's doing well out there.
is there a greater group of people than these guys? I
I
don't
know,
think that
right?
there is.
Simpleton got another notch on his belt too last night. Ian Bertram knew of him. Like, who doesn't know? Simpleton's an industry celeb at this point, bro.
Dude, a myth, a legend, a
Right?
hero, if you will.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Hope everybody's doing well, having a good week, having a good Wednesday. Good to see everybody. Nick says the stuff they've been putting out. I can't believe that no one in the pitch room doesn't laugh. Wait, you're serious? Yeah. Yeah, man. It's
Yeah.
rough.
Oh, that's the story. Okay. No, it looks
Seriously.
good on you.
Seriously. All right. So moving on. We decided to have a fantasy draft of sorts, and we thought we would bring our own creative team slash titles to the field of play, and sit in the editorial chair for a minute. So, I'll let you lead us off, dude. Let's just talk X-Men, man. Who you got? Who you got for X-Men? What are you thinking? What's your X-Men pitch? Just the main team, the heavy hitters. Who you got?
My main team is interesting. So to give a precursor here, and I'll let you kind of give your quick little thing at the beginning too. For my X line, I want to practice what I preach. I only have 3 titles. I'm going to keep it lean. I'm going to keep it tight. in and out, basically. So I wanted to get that right out the gates before I tell you what what my first team is, and then we'll kind of ping pong back and forth. But I'm curious, how many books, how many titles do you got in your X line?
Oh, well, I'm bloated, and yeah, we're gonna be hemorrhaging money over here. I got, what do we got? 2, 4, 6, 7.
Seven.
The last three
Seven.
are whatever, but I got 4 solid ones I want to see come to fruition. Yeah, don't say
Okay.
7 like that. Don't say,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna make it happen. All right.
All
We're all
right.
gonna
All
be
right. All
successful.
right. I'm going to start with the flagship title here. We're going to only have one X-Men title, and that title is Uncanny X-Men, written by Gerard Way with artwork by Evan
Ooh.
Cagle. I want to bring
Ooh.
big Grant Morrison energy
I
back to
love
the
it. Let's
X-Men.
get weird again, dude.
Yes, and when you can't have Grant Morrison, I tried in my head, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna pick people that have been on the title that I'm giving them, right? Maybe we've had some crossover with the X-Men in the past, and I also tried to make it realistic, right? Like I'm not throwing Scott Snyder out there because I know that there's no way you're bringing him over because he's the head of the absolute stuff. So we got Uncanny X-Men, Gerard Way, Evan Cagle on artwork. He's been doing fantastic work on New Gods. I feel like it also still kind of brings that 90s energy, but has that flair, that new flair, that's going to be really exciting for the team. That team, though, has no one that you would expect here. I'm going with
Oh, you got the team lineups too? See,
oh,
I didn't go
I
that.
got the
I didn't
team
go
lineup.
that.
Oh, dude, I ain't messing around. Okay. My team lineup for the Uncanny X-Men, the flagship X-Men team. Quentin Quire,
Ooh.
Laura Kinney Wolverine, Vulcan, Sync, and who is the headmaster of this new team, the school, if you will? None other than Charles Xavier's son, Legion.
Oh shit! I like that.
Bringing in a lot of like the old New Mutants, a little bit of that Generation X flair. We got familial things with other teams. We got Vulcan from the original giant size X-Men, as we've seen that they were kind of captured and killed, most of them killed on Krakoa. So I wanted to bring something new and exciting that totally strayed away from what we've seen from the X-Men previously.
Are we gonna get a Quentin Quire versus Legion Ultimate Showdown, like at the end of like the third arc or something?
You have to talk to Gerard about that. I don't know
I
what he has
love it,
planned.
dude.
So
I
yeah.
love the bringing back the Morrisonian. Morrisonian was heavy on my like checklist. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say I was thinking about that manifesto.
Dude, yeah, same. Big same, man. So okay, I'm curious then. Go ahead. What's your flagship title? What are we
All right,
working
so
with?
I came to it with approach. I was thinking team wise in general terms, going just blue and gold 90s with it, just because that was me. So there was a
Yeah.
point where I was going to split it into 2 books, X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold, but we're just keeping it X-Men. I'm not going to do Uncanny, although I'm kind of on the fence about that. Maybe I can be swayed, but I'm going Dennis Camp, dude. I think he
Dude.
could. I think he could do. I
Mm.
think he could do like the long term structuring. You talk about Morrisonian energy. He could get weird with it. I mean, the work he's doing on the Ultimates right now really sells me on him doing a team book and doing it well and really building up, respecting the history and building out something new.
Okay.
For artists, I want somebody who's going to be in the Jim Lee style of thing. You look at X-Men, great X-Men artists, Claremont, uh, Jim Lee, Pepe. Like you want guys who are kinetic, but who also have that kind of classic style, and you want somebody who can keep up. So now this one can be either or, but I want somebody like Jorge Jimenez. I want somebody like Dan Mora in the classic sense that can put work out. I think Dan would probably be a better fit. But dude, seeing either one of those guys
Dude.
draw Dennis Camp's X-Men, I think would be dope. And
Those are
yeah,
such good options. I didn't even think of either of them either.
yeah, absolutely. Because like I want somebody in that kind of classic sense, but that I'm not going to be dealing with a ton of fill-in issues. You know what I mean? I was looking at
Yeah.
Capullo on Snyder's Batman. He had it patterned out. I forget what the stretch was, but he'd do a good of 7, 8, 9 issues, take like 2 or 3 off, and then come
Hmm.
back and knock out the same stretch. And he did that all 50 for all 50 and only missed, I think, less than like or around 6 or 7 issues max, I think, for that entire run. So doing a good majority of it. I want somebody like that on to be able to give me that consistency. So I think Jimenez are more combined with Camp's grandiose ideas would be something special.
Dude, that's a really good. That's
Thanks, man.
excellent. Like off the top of your dome, right? Like give me 5 X-Men that you think that would fit the bill for this team. What you would want?
I mean, I'm on, like I said, the blue and gold folks would be straight. I think, I agree with what Rob said. I think Wolverine and Cyclops need to be on the team together. I think that's a
Yeah.
great dynamic, and putting those two together. I think I like where you're going with it, with like obscure guys, and I don't mind that for a couple, but I think you need to have heavy hitters for, like, a good 3 or 4 of them need to be some of those fan favorites. So definitely Wolvie, definitely Cyclops, and then you want to go strong females. But I love your addition of Laura Kinney. I would love to see her in the mix. I think that's a terribly underwritten, underutilized, underlooked character. So I don't know, man. I really would want to, like, sit down and I think I'm okay with, like, interchanging some of those heavy hitters, those big players, but like the niche ones, those would be the ones I would probably pull from that same pool you're pulling from, for like either the Wolverine and the X-Men run with Jason Aaron, the Morrison stuff. Yeah, that like newer modern weird stuff is some of my favorites.
Okay, dude, I dig it. I dig it a lot. All right, we ready to jump into book number 2?
Let's do it, bro.
All right. I think this is gonna hit that that feeling you were talking about when you're talking about those classic characters, the need for that, right? My second book is X Factor, written by Alex Packnadel, with artwork by DK Ruin. So Alex did Sentinels, right?
Oh,
So, but I wanted to bring him back because he does a lot of sciencey stuff. He does a lot of timey-wimey stuff. I've gotten mission statements too for each one of these books. Like what, like not storylines, but like what is this book supposed to represent? My Uncanny X-Men was protect the dream, right? Each one of these people have I don't know, some kind of vested interest in protecting the dream that Charles Xavier had, right? Quentin Quire was a member of the school when the riots happened. He was villainous, and then he turned a new leaf with the school, with the Wolverine school, right? So each one of those characters have those ties with that kind of thing. For X Factor, though, the lineup is Rachel Summers, Bishop, Cable, Blink from the Age of Apocalypse, Exiles, whatever one you want to pull from, and Rasputin 4.
shit.
So if you can see where those people are being pulled from, you might be able to pick up on what I would want from this book, which the mission statement is stop the future. Each one of these people comes from a dystopian time where shit went bad for mutants, like really, really, really bad. So each one of them have a vested interest in making sure that cannot happen again. So what do? They stop that from ever happening by harnessing their powers, using time travel. It gets that book could be a lot of freaking fun, man. That was it. When I was putting pitches together, I was like, oh man, I need this book in my life right now. I think that would be incredible.
Hell yeah, I love these team lineups, dude. Super sick.
Yeah, there's some thought put behind these, man.
Hell yeah, absolutely. All right, next up for me, I gotta agree with my boy Fable here, man. I'm gonna go New Mutants, and this is gonna be James Tinian and Martin Simmons on art.
Oh,
okay. Because I wanted Sienkiewicz. I wanted to bring back that Sienkiewicz weirdness, and we're gonna have Jason Sean Alexander do the covers. Okay, we're gonna homage that period of New Mutants, but I'm gonna give James free artistic license to kind of create new characters, bring in some old favorites or whatever. But I want that to be like the new cool weird book. You know what I mean?
Okay, I dig that.
Yeah. So that's my second pick. Yeah, Team from Dracula, dude. You can't go wrong with Tinian and Simmons. I'm just a Sienkiewicz stan and a big fan of that run and how much it shook up mainstream comics of the time. So I'd like to see something like that. And I think Tinian could honestly. He was kind of in my running for writing X-Men or being head of this line, dude. I didn't really think of him as a leader in that sense until I heard him on off panel and really talk about kind of steering the ship for that new book he's got with Michael Walsh. And I was really impressed by him leading that retreat and putting together the marketing teams and all that stuff. So I think he would be.
You've been drinking that
named
Tynan
contender.
Kool-Aid recently,
Dude,
man. Like, is it more Hawaiian Punch or more Blue Raspberry?
It was that podcast. That podcast impressed the hell out of me. I've heard of interviews with him before, but like, I don't know, man. That one, I guess I thought of him more as a writer who looked at this more like a business, and like the fan, the comic book lover of him was so apparent in that, and somebody who really cares about this industry and wants to see it thrive and survive. I think all those things came out more so than me just saying, "Oh, he's cutting a number one, another new comic for another number one for another."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I was very impressed by that. If you guys haven't checked it out, check out Off Panel, a great comic book interview podcast. One of Nick's favorite, I think. Right? It is.
I believe so. Yeah.
Nick loves the questions in that, and it's Off Panel, Edson. With David Harper, and it's on YouTube, on your wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, he had one with James Tinian and Michael Walsh were on together talking about Exquisite Corpses, the new book they have coming out. But
yes, sir,
I highly recommend it.
All right,
yeah. Dude. Moving on, bro.
That would put asses in seats, like no joke.
Right?
Like I was on that same kind of wavelength with you for a second because I almost had Jonathan Marks Bervecchia, the artist on Bear Pirate Viking Queen, as one of my picks for almost. He was like right there, but I was like, but do I lean in a different direction? Because my other books lean so heavily in a different direction. I feel like I should kind of like stay with that train of thought. So with that train of thought, it's funny that you bring up New Mutants because my third and final book is also New Mutants, written by Michael Morisi of Wasted Space,
nice.
with artwork by Marcos Martin, who just recently did that issue of Absolute Batman that, Stu, I believe you loved it as much as Nick loves Off Panel, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes. So I wanted to lean into a person that I feel like could bring out I don't want to say more childlike, but he has his style kind of like really leans into a way that you can really feel everyone feels soft, right? And I think I wanted that for this kind of book because I don't want this team doing battle. I don't want these people out in the battlefield. I want this to be more of a drama book, more of a book that's going to be lean on humor, lean on human emotion, but still deal with the world that fears and hates mutants. The lineup, the true lineup is going to be the students. And as far as the students go, bring in some new people, right? There should always be like a new cast of mutants. But as far as the teachers, because this is really going to be the school aspect of the storyline, the teachers that are going to be teaching in this new school is going to be Beast, Kitty Pryde, Chamber, Kamala Khan, and Franklin Richards. Now, Kamala Khan and Franklin Richards would obviously be two of the students here, but the other three would be teachers, which have a lineage and which have a history with the actual Xavier School, the Jean Grey School, all that kind of fun stuff here. But I think it's important to have Franklin Richards back in the Marvel Universe and wash away all the crap that Dan Slott did. He is a mutant. He will be a mutant. He always was a mutant. Get rid of all the crap. Now he's with the mutants. He's in the school. So that's my third and final book for my X line. Keeping it nice and tight.
Nice. All right. Hell yeah. We got synthetic panels in the house saying hello. Station. Hope you are well. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. Thank you for joining us tonight. All right, man. Well, moving on for me, I'm going with my first character book. First of two. I'm doing 3 character books, okay?
Like solo titles.
Solo titles. That's right, because they work so well.
Okay.
G. Willow Wilson and Becky Cloonan on Laura Kinney.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
G. Willow Wilson, whether it's Kamala Khan, Poison Ivy, just one of the best female writers, one of the best writers. Now, I was thinking about Kelly Thompson, but we already.
Yes, I had the same problem. I wanted to pull her. She was almost my Uncanny X-Men writer, but I'm like, I can't justify making that move because there's no way that it would possibly happen.
Right. But I just think G. Willow Wilson is fantastic, and I love Becky Cloonan's art. And I think having an all-female team on a great Laurie Kenny story would be kick-ass.
Dude, good call. Good call.
Thank you, bro. I know I look like an idiot now that you said that he got offered the X titles and said no. But Remender, man, we bring Remender back.
I would love that
for Wolverine with James Herron. Fuck yeah!
Whoa!
Yeah!
Whoa! Okay. Oh man, we're fixing the industry, baby. Like this is so good. Oh my god!
We can call it a righteous thirst for vengeance or something. We can get super cheeky with it.
Yeah.
Matt Fraction and David Aja reunite for Cyclops. Now this is an ode to Rob's Wolverine and Cyclops coming back. I'm not a big Cyclops guy, but I think like taking he's not on Hawkeye's level. A lot of people love him, but I think they could really do something interesting with that character. And the same, I know this will never happen, but regardless, I think that would be cool. And then I think I'll end it on this one, dude. Warren Ellis makes his comeback to Marvel with Jamie McKelvey on art doing Excalibur. When we get this like grizzled fucking super weird amalgamation of some British mutants and some old X favorites together, but something world threatening, something universe threatening that they have to respond to, and it's got all those hallmarks of Warren Ellis's writing, and I love McKelvey's art. So,
I love it.
That's my X line.
That's great, dude. Man, that's. Ooh, God, see, man, Fable's throwing out freaking gold right now, man. Still, again, I'd love to see Chris Condon in the mix there somewhere. As would I. The only reason I didn't have him in there is he's already
I thought about him too, bro.
He's on Ultimate Wolverine. Dude, I got to ask you if you did this. How many times did you write Wolverine solo title written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson? You're like, nah. It's too obvious. It's too obvious.
I did it like 100 million different. That's like why James Herron's on the book. You know what I mean? Because I was like, all right, if I'm not gonna, and honestly, if Daniel hadn't given us that that story, it would have been such a great pick. You know what I mean? If it wasn't obvious like that. But yeah, that's why I picked Herron. I was like, all right, who's closest enough to that aesthetic that could really deliver? But yeah, I got so many times I wrote it down and erased it.
Dude, if I did one more book off the top of my dome and I did an X-Force book, and it's one of these teams that I've always kind of thought about and like never really, I don't necessarily know who would be the writer and artist for it, but I always thought it would be fascinating to have a book with Wolverine and all of Wolverine's proteges, all the people that he's taken under his wing over time. So you'd have Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, you'd have Jubilee, you'd have Hisako Armor, Laura Kinney, like have all of those people on one team and just have that be the Black Ops team, right? I feel like that's where X-Force always kind of really shines and does its best work. So whoever that person, oh man, who would I want on that team or that creative team? I feel like there's something. It's got to be out there. I don't know.
Brubaker and Phillips.
No. I got to keep those. I got to keep those guys on Criminal and Reckless. They have no time.
That would be dope, though. Like Wolverine and all, like you said, all his kind of proteges on a like a X-Force type of team where they go and do all these wild ass missions. That would be fun.
Yeah,
you could have like cool standalone issues with like different missions.
I take it back. I mean that's a good thing, but I'm gonna stand by my DWJ thing, but I'm not gonna say a Wolverine solo title. I'm gonna say Wolverine and Jubilee. That's the title. That is the ongoing, written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. That way you get a little bit of the heart, from their relationship, and you get a little bit of I don't want to say the naivety because I feel like Jubilee's grown a lot as a character, but you get two ends of the spectrum, right? It's not just Logan being like, oh, I work best alone and I'm grumpy and angry. You get a little bit of levity from Jubilee as well. And I think that Daniel Warren Johnson can play with what we know he could play with that, notion really, really well. Look at Do a Powerbomb with the father-daughter relationship.
Oh yeah. He could bring so much emotion out of that. Oh yeah, Edson wants to see Becky Clinton in X-23 too. Absolutely. Yes. Salma was excellent. Her artwork and that was incredible. I mean, the story was, yeah, but the artwork, you can't. I love her and Tula Lote, both the artists on that book were.
It was witchcraft smut, and like I'm not going to look down upon it. It did what it was supposed to do.
It did. It did. Still waiting on One for Sorrow from Distillery. That'll come out in the summer or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. James Herron, we killer, bro.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. This was fun though. Great
It
X
j-
pitches.
not only was it fun, but we're doing is giving them the blueprint. We're like
I
I
know.
said, we're here to fix the industry. We're here doing their job for them, and you know what? It's okay when they have
Per
to call in the
usual.
heavy hitters. You come to Ink and Insights.
That's right. You're welcome, Marvel. Um, dude, I just learned Rick Veitch is a co-creator on the Century, and like he kind of got like he co-created that thing with Paul Jenkins way back in the day, and kind of has been left out of the.
Well, oh, that's interesting. Like I know they played with, the notion of him being around the entire time, and they had like a lot of homages to like Jack Kirby styles, and maybe I don't know. I'd have to go back and do research. It doesn't ping my memory because I wasn't totally tuned into the Century as a character, but
No, I read some article today that he apparently he was supposed to be the artist on that original thing and got bumped for Jay Lee last minute or something. I don't know.
oh wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
he sounded a little, I don't know, not
I
happy
mean,
about it. It is what it is.
Yeah, Ricky, maybe you dodged a bullet. I mean, what you're gonna be out a $500 check just like Brubaker was for Winter Soldier. So like,
God, it's so
yeah.
disrespectful. So disrespectful, dude. All right, gang. Moving on to our comic books. Absolute Wonder Woman #7 concludes Our Lady and the Tiger tale as we see uh, Diana in a gladiator arena style fight, and another. We get that action in the present, and then we see throwbacks to, you know, her learning the story of the Lady and the Tiger and uh, Persephone's role and kind of freeing her from hell, as it were. Dude, Matea D. Lua doing the second of their fill-in issues. You know, absolutely stunning work, and Wonder
Yeah.
Woman #6 with Prometheus. Wonder Woman #7 was no different. What did you think about their artwork? And I love the Persephone design. I love these character designs. They've all been stunning.
The character design killed it, man. It was so good. This issue, though, really, really, really took me by surprise when it comes to the artwork because when we got issue #6, where Matea was doing was the first, kind of shown as the fill-in artist, it really leaned into the same look that we got from the Cull. Very digital looking, very, you could just tell it was done on a computer, right? This issue, it's still very much their artistic style, but not you didn't get any of that digital
So
feeling, or
true.
maybe a very little bit, right?
I had to
But
look at the credits like after the first couple pages to make sure it was them. Yeah.
yeah, it felt like they made a conscious effort to kind of like, I don't know, meld the styles of what Hayden Sherman had done previously in their own style. Because you really see the line work and the art, the lines pop off the page where you didn't get that previously. It was all about the shading. It was all it took a much more realistic approach, whereas this took a more traditional comic book approach on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, it's insane. Maddie manages to do great personality in the faces of characters, even though they have that 3D model look. I'm very pleasantly surprised. I couldn't agree more. There was so
Yep.
many great close-up shots of Cersei, even with the mask on, and you're not able to see the emotion on the bottom half of her face, but her eyes would just super expressive through
Oh
several
my,
shots in this.
that's the strength of this book, and I'm about to spout out basically an oxymoron, but this issue oozes subtlety. That's where the book really shines. It's the little moments. It's just the micro emotions that you're seeing that really just bring forth all of the character traits, emotions, feelings, everything. Matea kills it. The narrative just kind of builds upon that and makes it so much stronger too.
So true. Yeah, so we see Persephone give her this gift of the pomegranate tree. The pomegranate seeds will, of course, are huge to Persephone's tale and her legacy and her myth, but also will help, Diana, I guess, temporarily escape hell in the future. she'll have to come back once. What is it? 1 month a year out of the
Yep.
year. Yeah. But so she's still tethered to it, but she will have some sort of freedom. And I love the way the tales told, these kind of like old Grecian urn type of etchings of, the Lady
Yes.
and the Tiger. It was so great, man. So dope. What did you think about the fable and the way it was kind of interwoven throughout these two issues?
It was beautiful, man. Like it was that great symmetry and poetry of the entire story because everything just kind of like hit the right beats at the right time to where like the entire issue just totally flowed. And like if you're anything like me, I think a lot of us, especially comic book fans, who are like when it came to like learning about Greek mythology in school, you probably just like geeked the hell out because it was just like it was
Yeah.
almost like the proto comic books, right? Like I mean, dudes throwing lightning bolts from the sky. That's like super heroic kind of stuff. So I loved Greek mythology, so I was like heavy into this kind of stuff. So like the myth of Persephone and how she ate the 6 pomegranate seeds, which is why she spends half of the year in Hades and half the year outside. Or I'm sorry, not in Hades, but in hell, and 6 months outside of it. I love that stuff. So as soon as the issue pops off, if you're into that kind of stuff, you're like, oh, I'm picking up a little bit of the notes that they're playing on here. But then when you interweave that with the story that's being told, when you see the emotion on Circe's face as she's kind of communicating through the fire and kind of like trying to figure
Yes.
some things out here, and then having that motherly quality of telling the story, which kind of becomes the framing device of the entire issue. Dude, Kelly Thompson, again, it's the reason why both of us thought of her as one of that should be a premier writer on another title, even though she's doing fantastic work here.
No, it's incredible. And the way, the story starting off with the Battle of the Tetraside and Gateway City and all that stuff, but the way it's kind of taken this 2-issue detour and really given us so much so much richness and complexity to both Circe and Diana, the relationship between them, showing us more of the gods, their bickering, their back and forth, the games they're always playing, really expanded that world. And I love how she's balancing past and present here and
Yeah,
using it to
big
like
time.
both inform like who Diana is and what she's been through, and also like these challenges she's facing, these physical challenges. It usually turns out to be that she's facing in the present. But yeah, man, it's just I I don't I've never come across this. I am a fan of Thompson, but I've never. I think she's really doing some of her career best work here. I haven't seen anything this solid, man. This book hasn't had a weak page panel, anything. The storytelling is just so strong and robust, and such a fully developed and realized idea from her. It's just
Yep.
so impressive every time, and it's absolute Batman in its own thing, and absolute Superman in its own thing, and they're both good and solid. I like Batman a little bit more, but those just feel like a couple kids playing in the sandbox, dude. This feels like a
Yeah.
writer at the top of their craft. You know what I mean? Not to insult Snyder or Aaron because they're great books and the whole line has been revolutionary for comics this year. But man, this is just, I think, leaps and bounds ahead, both art wise and story wise, than, than
Yeah.
anything else. Yeah.
Dude, 100%. Like Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman, or in this case, Mattea, they stand on top of a mountain. Whereas, absolute Superman, absolute Batman, they're playing on hilltops and they're having a great time, but they can't reach that mountaintop. Like they're not, they don't got the gear to do that. Whereas Kelly Thompson absolutely does.
Yeah. Look at this idiot. But don't you guys want to see Diana and Batman play detective and defend Diana's mother's booty call? God, man.
I mean,
I'm not opposed to it,
she got to
but
get hers. That's all. I'm not going to be mad.
you eat failing defending her mother, Nick. Yeah, dude. But like speaking to saying how well they integrated this fable, this myth into the story. I love that moment when she realizes, up there at the top right, when she
Mhm.
realizes she's not the princess in this story. Like
Yes, a
it's
beautiful
such,
revelation.
oh man, it's so well done. And I just love that little bit like the look on her face, as she turns and reveals that to Cersei, and Cersei's reaction was beautiful.
Yes.
But yeah, dude, uh, it was all Diana there at the end. She didn't want to kill the tiger, right? Or this
Dude,
tiger
pleading with
being.
Hades, pleading with
Yeah.
him, like it's like he's submitted. Don't make me do this. Like, and Hades just being a prick, he's just like, sorry, this is the rules of the game. Deal with it.
Yeah, and then when she goes kind of Super Saiyan, and tells him that he has a reckoning coming because they've been holding her there, and everything about it is unnatural. Them trying to wipe the Amazons off the face of the earth, and all the wrong they did. There will be a price to pay for it, and I love that scene as she's rising up, and Hades is like kind of. She is like, how is she this powerful? It's such a fucking great shot, dude. And I love the conversation between her and Persephone at the end, where Persephone's like, yo, I can't wait to see that reckoning, girl. Like, you better come back here and clean house.
I mean, dude,
so fucking great.
Let's be honest, man. We've seen Diana raised on the island, right? Among the Amazonians. This is Diana raised in hell, dude. Like, why would you think that that's a good idea to go against, man? She's been hardened. Like, she is like the best version of herself right now because she's been through the hardest situations. Like, you fucked up, Hades.
Yeah, big time, dude. And I love his constant consternation throughout this thing, and then eventually them squaring off, and again, the character design here, I'd love to see some of the back and forth, but for Persephone appearing for the first time in the story, I'm sure that Sherman had a hand in creating all this. But dude, from Hecate, every time from Apollo and Hecate to Prometheus, now Hades, Persephone, every time we've seen one of these gods, it's just been a sight to behold. I cannot wait to see some of these bigger players like Zeus, and you know what I mean, like
Dude.
some of the heavier hitters show up, because like of course they're all going to have a part to play in this. The scheming is at an all-time high, and we still have to unravel the mystery of why the Amazons were targeted and I guess chosen for extermination, but right, because we really haven't got much on that mystery. Why?
Well, I mean, they're a force to be reckoned with, man. Right. I could totally see why they were put down, right? But like, if you were gonna do that, like to let Diana survive seems like a really, really bad misstep on their part. But hey, it's made for a great book, so kudos to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't recommend this one enough, though, guys. Continues to be amazing. Real quick, let me check out that chat. We got Burn Diggy in the house station, bro. Y'all make sure you're subbed up to Blood Splatter Chatter, doing some of the best horror movie reviews out there. We went over the new Sinners earlier this afternoon. Dude, make sure you check us out.
You guys have no idea how jealous I am that you guys got to see that already. I want to see the movie so bad, like it's so great, bad.
It's definitely, like I said, it's definitely a movie you want to see in theaters. So yeah, you guys, highly encourage you guys to check that one out in theaters. It's fantastic. Chill on the building, Chill Station, bro.
What up, Chill?
Oh yeah, it said Sherman designed the blue guy Hades. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm wondering how that back and forth goes when it's filling issues. Nick said he's still trying.
I mean,
you're not built for it. It's all right.
They were movies.
Oh yeah. All right, you want to take us away on Assorted Crisis Events number 2? Dennis Camp, dude.
Yeah, I could definitely try to describe everything that happens in this book. Yeah, for sure. Assorted Crisis Events number 2, written by Dennis Camp with artwork by Eric Zawadsky, colors by Jordi Belair, and letters by the great. I just blanked on his freaking name. Hassan Otsman Helahau. My brain just turned off for a second. I'm back though, I promise. Okay. This book got so different than issue number 1.
Yes.
Like so incredibly different. In issue 1, there was a lot of activities that were taking place that were crisis events that, like things got timey-wimey, like there were people that were trapped in time, and there was like crazy explosions and invasions and this, that, and the other, but it all had this like sense of fun as you were reading it. Not fun for the characters, but definitely fun for you. And there was even moments of levity where the person was like, said screw it and tried to throw themselves off of the crack in the street, which turned out just to be a prop. This didn't really have any of that. This was a deep, heavy story that really built on a lot of the, I don't know, the nature of a family, of familial trauma, generational trauma. Gosh, I mean, immigration. There's so many different
Yeah.
things that this plays with, right? Because you could look at it from the sense of a family, because it kind of it follows, to give kind of like the framing device of the issue. We're following this character as he is starting a family, going to a job, and throughout every kind of event that we see in his life, he sees blood and faints. And he's a person that has gained a job that his father had previously had, where he was, what would you call the place? I said a meat market in my review. Slaughterhouse. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't think of that. But he's working at a slaughterhouse. He's the guy. It's just like he got that tool, just like from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, he's
where
got
just,
the yep. He's
he
got
putting the
the
bolt through the
yep.
heads, right? But he's not. He doesn't deal well with blood. He kind of learns to deal with that, but it's almost in a way of like tamping emotions down and tamping just kind of reality, right? Like pushing everything aside. But you kind of see all these moments throughout his life as these, I wouldn't even say crisis events occur necessarily, because I feel like the crisis event is truly something that is singular. Like it only really happens once in the issue. But we see kind of him as a child, and he's going through like witnessing his dad struggling and kind of like leaning on alcoholism and kind of just, as a coping mechanism, really trying to cope with the ideas of what he's had to do for his family and like the things that they've gone through, where they waded through the waters to try to get, to try to provide a better life for his family. They finally get there, and he's stuck working this job that very clearly there's zero joy with whatsoever, right? There's just a lot of different things that they're playing with when it comes to that kind of stuff. But before I dive into the latter part of the issue here, I guess what was your I don't know, how did you feel about this being so different, being that this is an anthology
Yeah,
series?
it was super heavy, and I think I gotta agree with Edson a little bit. I did miss a little bit of the fun because this was such a heavy experience.
Hmm.
But and what he says at the back end there, the time crisis part of that, where it was, the thing that everything spun around in the first issue, it was kind of like an afterthought in this one. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think after the meat of the story was really told, then we really kind of got that interjection.
Yep.
It was kind of weird in that way, but at the same time, it was such an impactful story. And I think it says, to me, it spoke to me a lot. I think on the cyclical nature of fathers and sons, man, and like how
Hmm.
we 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 think so. We're so adamant that we aren't going to turn out like our parents, or
Yeah.
inherit certain habits or predispositions or impulses, and then the exact same thing happens. And some of the I loved the humanity of it on display, whether it was them crossing the border and that dude getting eaten by a crocodile, and the mom's like, just keep looking forward, just focus on me, you know what I mean, trying to keep
Yeah.
her kids safe, and uh try to levy the trauma that he's taken in, and also like that conversation he had with the supervisor when he was on the killing floor, and he's like, just like his old man, he's like, that's what what did he say? I've had four panic attack or four meltdown breakdowns since I've started working here.
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah, exactly. But it's the normalizing of these traumatizing situations, and I feel like that's like one of the predominant messages that Camp was pushing forward with this issue. I can't remember. It may have been you. It might have been Nick. Whatever. One of the people in our group, though, definitely did make the comparison that this feels very much like Ice Cream Man, and I totally agree with
Mhm.
that notion. Where Ice Cream Man can have issues with levity and issues with humor, right? Like it's not a foregone conclusion that it's only going to be one type of book. So I like that we're going to be able to get those kind of cool things from this. If Camp takes this for the stretch, this could be an incredible thing. For issue 2 though, it was like, whoa, okay, because I like Ice Cream Man didn't even really do that. Ice Cream Man kind of really stayed in its lane for God, the first at least 12 issues, I feel like, where they were kind of trying to tell it was an anthology, but it was kind of a linear story because they kind of had the Ice Cream Man was the person who kind of carried you through. So you're like, oh, I'm gonna follow the mythology of what this person is. And we don't get that here. We just get tossed into this world and we're like, all right, now you're dealing with fathers and sons. Now you're dealing with freaking slaughterhouses and velociraptors. So yeehaw, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like Nick said, it was such a heavy issue with an attempt to include levity, but it just made it feel worse. Yeah, dude, the velociraptors show up at the end when you're already down in the dumps, and they're just. I remember there's one panel where he one of those velociraptors is just digging into one of those cows that's already like barely holding it together, and you're just like, man, this is some dark shit right here,
dude. But I love the echoes within the issue because everything kind of like you see how everything within the issue ties together so beautifully, whether it's them wading through the water, the crocodile bites the man's hands off, the velociraptor bites his hands off, the father, the son, like all of the echoes through life as he says, I'm never going to be like this person, turns into that person. I mean, I do believe that it was a really well thought out, like beautiful issue, like as a standalone type of thing. Jarring for an issue where we're kind of like still trying to figure out, well, what is this series about? What are we going to be experiencing as this goes on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, just makes you think about so many things, and I think that's challenges you on so many fronts. I think both about the way you view the world and the way you view yourself and your relationship to your parents and all that. And I think that's what the best works of art do. So this was a crazy surprise and an incredible comic book.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was a win.
Yeah, man. Are you familiar at all with this artist though? They were completely.
No, we had talked. Well, I don't know. Remember where we talked about it, but yeah, this artist like did nothing previously. We looked it up. They did a couple covers. From what we saw, no interior work whatsoever, and like it's really really impressive. Being that this is at least our first foray into their work.
Absolutely, because the compositions, like the paneling, all of it was
Yeah,
incredible. Just the way it went back and forth between, not only past and present, but the time crisis world and what was happening. I thought was brilliant. I love the use of color too by Belair in this one.
yeah, it really makes things pop.
Yeah, the saturated yellows and stuff like that. All right, bro. Our final issue of the night.
The one we've all been waiting for.
Hoo-wee. We got our boy Bandwagon Nick in the house. He's finally here.
Hey, but he's here, right? And that's what's important. Like, we got room on the bandwagon, so come along on the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, real quick, I wanted to get before we moved on. Omega said, as a child of immigrant parents, this one hit hard, cut deep, and yeah, I'm still gonna play heel against Dennis Camp. It's so good. Hell yeah, man. Definitely effective work of art. Hell yeah. Edson says they have a YouTube channel, Ink Scribes. I'm gonna have to subscribe to that. Good look, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, it is indeed. So take us away, man. Issue 8.
Let me just write down Ink Scribes real quick so I don't forget it. All right. Power Fantasy number 8, written by Kieran Gillen with artwork by Casper Wingard, letters by Clayton Cowles. What an incredibly robust issue that really really was very surprising. Surprising in the way that we made a lot of predictions the last issue. We're like, well, what does this all mean? Because the last issue previous to this one was my favorite issue of the series. I was like, wow, that was incredible. It spells out so much more about these characters and what we're coming to know about them. And then we get this issue and we're like, oh, I thought I knew certain things, and I definitely didn't see this coming. We had talked about whether or not the being the angel that kind of was the catalyst for the second summer of love, whether or not they were truly the same person, whether that was actually Eliza, maybe like a bipolar split personality kind of thing. And like I felt so confident in that understanding. Nope, I was wrong. I was totally 100% wrong, but it was so much better for it because we get this beautiful backstory about who this person was, what their relationship to all of our main players were, right? Whether it's Magus with the pyramid, Aton, all of these other people, right? And we kind of come to see how this devilish character, if you will, how they came to be, how they harnessed this power, and how they kind of transcended and stopped this incredible event from happening, right? This possible cataclysm. It was so great, and it really spells out the reason why our other main players are so hell-bent on kind of like pulling her into the fray, because they know she is without a doubt the only person that can stand a chance to stop any individual other player, whether it's Magus, whether it's Aton, Heavy, whoever it is. Like, she's the one that stands above almost all of them. I'm not sure about Valentina. I can't remember how the power structures play, but I bet you would take her, for a run for her money.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was incredible, man. Like I love the transition from her at the beginning, trying to get picked, trying to get acknowledged, you know what I mean? Trying to get chosen by what's his name? I forget the dude who has the cold or whatever, but
Yeah, it's Magus.
Yeah. And then eventually, like that narration when she was talking about the access to hell, like how you can channel that, and her transformation during that battle with the queen to kind of give her what her needed. And dude, I thought this was Wingard's best issue yet. There was so many pages where he was really swinging for the fences, whether it was in hell when what was it, Eliza and Valentina were walking around having this conversation.
Oh my
And
god, yeah.
that was incredible, right? And she's like making all these constructs of faces of people from the past or that they're talking about. There was so many beautiful scenes down there. The color work was amazing.
Yeah, like
Throughout
that.
all
Yeah. Oh my god, when
those
she's making the
dark
statue,
purples and
like, yeah.
reds. Yeah, and I love when they're going through the fight with the queen, like the reds, and then I think we have it on the next page. Dude, that transformation was
Brilliant,
like,
right?
oh my god, that was my favorite page in the issue. Yeah, her getting scorched and kind of like ascending, like while she's like consumed by this flame. It was just so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, ascending, right? Because there's a lot of really beautiful symbology that's being used here. She's gaining these demonic hellish powers and has submitted herself to basically reside in hell this entire time to gain these powers, right? But it is truly like an ascension. She's praying for this because she's a devout individual, right? She kind of like, I don't know, just believes in the power of godliness, basically. I love how they did everything on this. And if we had talked about Rob Liefeld's podcast. We found out that Eric Zawadsky has a YouTube. If you're not listening to Kieran Gillen's Decompressed podcast, it only comes out every once in a great while, but he's basically interviewing each person on the creative team of Power Fantasy, and it's really great. Like, they're not going in totally in depth so much with the book. It's more really conceptual. But like, I mean, when you're talking about the powerhouses of Gillen, Casper Wingard, Aditya Bidikar, like, I mean, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff that they're doing within the pages of that book. And in fact, when it comes to interviewing Kieran, since he's the host of the show, Aditya Bidikar interviews him. So it's a really, really great conversation.
That is so cool.
Yeah, they start diving into the notion of this. Dude, so I intentionally kept the ending of this issue off, right? Because I feel like it is something you want to experience in the book, right? Without being spoiled. So without giving away the ending.
Can't spoil the ending.
I mean, I don't want to. I want people to do that page turn and have the same reaction that I did. Besides Aton getting kicked in the nuts, I'm not talking about that ending. I'm talking about the true ending. How did you feel like when you got to that point?
Oh,
dude,
it was jaw dropping. It was amazing, and it's I don't. How do I frame this? One of the characters says something earlier in the issue and kind of plants a seed. You're like, what does he mean by that, right? And you see what he means by that, and the way that they kind of deliver on the back end of that is fantastic. It's amazing. It's stress keeps building, right? The
Yes.
Jenga tower, like you're pulling these blocks out, you know it's going to collapse in the most horrific way because of all the deaths per minute that these whatever they're clocked at, all these folks are capable of. We're playing games on the biggest stakes. We're playing the game of the biggest stakes that there possibly can be. So I thought it was beautiful, man. And yeah, I'm not so sure about my allegiances and my loyalties
I
as
know.
right. Like the
Yes.
more that's the other thing I've loved about this book is getting to know these characters more and really picking like a team and to one you're more drawn to, because I feel like we all find ourselves inevitably doing that some type of way, and I think that would be a brilliant thing for them to do marketing wise, is really play that up. Like, are you team heavy? I think I am team heavy, by the way. How about you?
I don't
Dude, I
know,
think
man.
me and Heavy would really get along well, I think.
There is a beautiful level of nuance with every character, and every time you think you understand them, like you learn something new. Like at the onset of the book, I think I was honestly a little bit team Aton because it reminded me. Did you ever watch The Good Place, the show The Good Place with what's her name? Voice. She was the voice actor for Kristen Bell.
I did not.
Really good. If you dug The Office, I think and I know you dug The Office. You would
Yes.
dig that kind of show. But there's a character in there that is like pitch perfect, the same exact person as this without superpowers, but just like burdened with moral quandaries, right? And it was like deep into philosophical ideas, and kind of just always had this ebb and flow about like different ideas and different philosophers and how they would approach these things. And it felt very much like that, where I felt like Aton was maybe burdened with this thing. And I don't know if he is anymore. So I'm stuck now. I'm almost leaning Team Magus now. I'm almost kind of like he's kind of like
I do love Vegas as well.
he's the get shit done dude, So like I'm kind of down with that. Although Heavy, I hated Heavy at first, and I'm definitely warming up to him. He's got a Jeff Lebowski quality about
He
him, which I kind of
does.
like. Yeah.
That's what I'm drawn to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it was Team Etienne at first, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Look look at this guy though. He digs the goth chicks.
Of
We know.
course. Of course. Shocker. And yeah, Nick says it'll end with the atomics all screaming at each other, destroy the whole universe while doing so. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it all fall down in spectacular fashion, man. It's going to be so beautiful.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, but what is the distance on this bad boy? How far are we going? Like,
I
do you
hope a
know?
good long while, man. Like
Okay.
I really hope that we get, I don't know, 50 issues. I mean, like I want something where I can have 3 hardcovers at least and put them on a shelf. So
Hell yeah.
I'm here for the long run. Y'all know it though, but I've been screaming from the freaking mountaintops.
You have, dude. I was late to the party, so it's bandwagon Stu. I'm busting Nick's balls, but I definitely had to. I got onto it like 3 or 4, so I appreciate you, man. This one has been incredible. And it really reminds me of the strength of Kieran Gillen as a writer. I think they kind of got a bad rep with that, like, kind of shouldering the burden during the transitional period with X and doing the Axe event and all that stuff. But they're just a fantastic writer. So many great books, and it's glad to see them back putting out this quality work.
Yeah, and
Because
it's funny that you
they're
bring that up
capable.
too, man, because like I was thinking about that a lot when I was reading this issue, when I was putting together slides and all that kind of stuff, and I was just like,
Yeah, I
man.
almost threw them on a team, but I remembered all that, and I just was like, nah, that's a non-starter. You know what I mean? Like they.
Yeah, but that's the thing, man. Like, I feel like when Hickman left, everyone was like, wah, wah, it must suck, right? It didn't. Like, I think Kieran Gillen put out some of the strongest books, arguably stronger than what Hickman was able to do in the Krakoa era. I just think that no one really kind of wanted to give it the time of day, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate,
I
So,
agree. I liked it. I thought there were some really cool things going on.
yeah.
But Omega says Kieran has 16 issues done per decompress, but hopefully they have continued grinding that. Hell yeah, dude.
Yes.
Oh yeah, good to hear.
Yeah, we need way more than 16. I can tell you that much.
Oh yeah, appreciate the update, bro. All right, man. Before we get into our covers of the week, you had a great "It's the Little Things" you wanted to talk about. Go ahead.
Oh, dude, like I was saying previously, the incredible Absolute Wonder Woman issue was all about subtlety, and I think that these couple panels, these echoes of one another, right, or these mirror images, really drove home the emotional core of this book, where we got the story, the framing device of the Lady and the Tiger, and we see that storybook play out, and we see the subtle head nod, right? It was nothing more than a head
It
nod to
was
say
so good.
this way or that way. And we don't know what that means, right? It's up to the interpretation of the reader. Very similar to Circe, as she has to lead Diana in the very end and takes that same exact action, plays through the story, like the moral compass of the book, and gives that subtle head nod. Man, it was just a great way to bring this issue full circle, to bring this little mini arc full circle, and really deliver on a satisfying ending. And all it took was a subtle little head turn. So that was
Yeah,
my it's the little things this week.
it's a great call, and I love the little like the lettering, the tick, the
Yeah.
small little letters like
Yep.
on both of those panels is
Ye-
fantastic, dude.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and mine, I'm right there with you because that shot there on the left of her eyes tearing up and
Oh my
like
God.
both we saw that more than once as she was like kind of sitting next to Hades during the arena battle. It was fantastic, dude.
Dude,
So much fun.
it harkens back to one of the earliest issues of the series, right? Where she struggles with the idea of being a mother and raising this child. And I can't remember the exact way that Kelly Thompson worded it, but it was like something like to be a parent is to understand love, something along those lines, right? And I feel like we've seen that with this character almost each and every issue, but it's always delivered in this like really new, I don't know, just emotional way that just it makes it feel so worthwhile.
So true. Fantastic book. Can't sing its praises enough.
Yep.
Yeah, excellent little detail to point out there. Yeah, it's the little things always just focuses on the little things we love so much about these comics we read. So just want to expand on that a little bit more. Great little segment there by E. All right, bro, let's talk about your covers of the week, man. Hit me.
We can't get enough Absolute Wonder Woman. So why not talk about it a little bit more with our fantastic Declan Shelby variant cover here? Something about the starkness. Like I can give or take on the negative space covers. I think that some of them do it really effectively, some of them not so much. And this isn't necessarily a negative space cover, but there's a lot of stark whites to this cover, and I kind
Mhm.
of like that half of the cover really is kind of devoid of any imagery, but it's that big badass freaking sword that she has. And I love that, like, we lean into the idea of all those tattoos on her magical fake arm, if you will. Killer issue. This is something that would draw me in and make me want to pick this up on a stand.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's always good to see Declan balling, dude. I love him as an illustrator.
Heck yeah, yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
Dude, we talked about it again here. Assorted crisis events. This one, incredible variant cover here by Michael Walsh. I mean, I don't know
Sick.
what else we can really say. Michael Walsh is freaking killing it, man. Like, I mean, both as a writer and as an artist, I think that the composition on this cover really draws in the idea of all of that craziness that we tried our best to explain throughout the issue, and does so in a composition that really makes sense and really is visually striking to the eye, and really great color work that we come to know and expect from their work as well.
Oh yeah, love that one.
And last but not least, I swear to God,
Hey.
I did not intend to just pick the issues that we talked about. Just happened to be that they were my favorite covers here. But we got Danny doing an incredible cover of the Power of Fantasy here with our, the character that we've been following around here, Eliza, with that incredible staff here. Danny does really good work, man. If you see her work in black and white, it is absolutely stunning. So when you throw those big bold colors on it, it really makes it pop. um yeah, it was just killer, man. I love the design work on this series as well by Ryan Hughes. I think they're making really sound
They're doing great.
decisions.
Absolutely. It's been
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. Love the, like the little info bits and stuff like that. How they've been throwing them in. But
yeah.
oh yeah, great stuff,
what,
bro.
what you got this week?
Gabriel Del Otto doing Doom. Need I say more? That's an automatic pickup for me. Any one of my favorite modern Doom artists, Gabriel, always brings it. So epic. It's his aesthetic is just so fit for Doom. So yeah, they Virgin varianted this one for One World Under Doom #3. Had to throw that on there. Paulo Rivera doing this fantastic variant for Amazing Spider-Man. I just love this one, man. It was so clean. I love like the little impact of his foot on the side of the building,
Heck
and
yeah.
like the Spidey sense going off. Paolo, I think, is one of the great undersung cover artists of our time. Just done so many classics, and I just love this one. So had to shout that out. Dude, Ryan Sook killing it on the Mummy variant. Love this one. I almost picked the Michael Walsh variant. Speaking of him, but
Yeah.
yeah, I saw this one. Had to throw it on there. Just love the use of the purple and the yellow and that ancient look to the Mummy there. And then Lee Bermejo, man, doing some Justice League. I love Lee. Always been a fan of his. I know some people, his style is, they're half on, half off, but it was cool to see. It's cool to see him getting some bigger looks. So yeah, happy to see him do Justice League Unlimited. Lee is one of my all-time favorite Batman artists. I think he just really has a knack for drawing that character. It's always
Wow.
gritty, grimy, noirish. Yeah, I love that Dear Detective book he put out not that long ago, which kind of collected all his Batman covers. But yeah, love Lee's artwork.
That's a great composition, man. I love how the sunlight is kind of like emanating onto Superman, kind of just like it rings true to that character so much. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah, dude.
that's really cool.
And they all look cool. You know what I mean? They all look.
Yeah, and you have to have that, right? If you don't have a
You
cool
do.
factor, then yeah, you're not doing it right.
No facts. Like you got Black Lightning looking like the truth. Like it's working. But
Yep.
yeah, that's it for me for covers of the week, brother. How about comics of futures past for today, April 30th?
All right. Yeah, we don't have to rewind that far. We're only going back to the year 2014, which feels like yesterday, even though it was more than a decade ago. But released on April 30th, 2014, Deadly Class number not 24. This is actually supposed to be 4, so apologies for the typo there. This was the incredible series by Rick Remender and Wes Craig. This was just like the onset of this series, right? And it's all about these kids who are basically at assassin school. They're all kind of like, or I shouldn't say all, but most of them are kind of like children of mobsters and gangs and the yakuza, right? And they're all kind of like, they're all training to kind of like come up within the family business, right? Except for our main player Marcus, who is just basically a kid who's living on the streets. He had fantastic parents who loved and cared for him. However, they were killed in a very unfortunate way that kind of left him in a foster school where some really nasty things were happening here. So he ends up living on the streets and they pull him into the school. This issue, though, is awesome. It's such a love letter to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So much so, in fact, that Hunter S. Thompson could be seen in the background of this issue as our main players, right? Each one from a different faction within the school are off to basically there's a multitude of different things that they're trying to do, but they kind of go there under the guise of a vacation. All the while, though, they're really trying to complete the assignment for one of the students, as they're all tasked with basically killing someone, right? Finding a person deservingly to meet their end, right? And you being the person that brings them to their end. And one of these students here chooses their father. So as they go to Las Vegas, though, they come across basically like, the Deadheads, right? They're following the Grateful Dead. So they have a big gathering there and they're like, hey, we're teenagers. We're going to have a good time. Let's go get some drugs. They get some drugs. They get basically botched, right? They don't get a good stash of stuff here. So when they think they're going to get another one, each one kind of takes a blotter of acid one at a time. The dude that got burned, though, he's just like, this ain't real anyway. So he takes the entire sheet of
Oh
paper.
boy.
Yeah, and he goes on a freaking trip, and it is glorious the way that Wes Craig conveys that in the pages of this book. It's stunning. Again, love letter to everything Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and Hunter S. Thompson, as it gets zany, wacky. The visuals in here are really great. And if you had seen the ill-fated Deadly Class TV show, great. Kudos to you because you were doing your part. If you haven't, shame on you, but you have a chance to go watch it because they depicted this within this TV show. and it was equally as stunning. So do yourself a favor, go find the Deadly Class TV show, watch the entire season, but definitely watch the episode where they go to Las Vegas here, because it is worth your time. It's awesome. And it was a great comic in 2014. So that was Comics of Futures Past.
Dude, killer fine, man. I love it. Huge Hunter S. Thompson fan. Highly
Same, big time.
so huge, so impactful on me growing up. You know what I mean? Writer I've always been a fan of, come what may. But this makes me want to go back and reread Deadly Class like right now.
Did you finish have you read the entire series?
I have. It's been quite a while. Yeah, I have all the trades, man. That was like one of the first ones I got on early, with Remender, and then I kind of built out my love from there.
Yeah.
Honestly, the one I haven't read from him that I've always wanted to get to is the one with your boy Scalera.
Ooh, Black Science.
Black Science. Yeah, I still need to knock that one out. So
it's one of the best modern Fantastic Four stories that you'll read. I could say that much.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
His creator-owned work is so strong, man. One of my favorite writers. And Wes, it doesn't get any better than Wes.
Yeah, dude. This was Wes learning, like leveling up, like incrementally as the series just goes on and on and on, and they do a great job with that. Before we move on, though, I'm really curious. You said that you're a Hunter S. Thompson fan. What was your first introduction to Hunter, and what's your favorite book by Hunter?
Man, that's a great question. First introduction was the Fear and Loathing movie. I hate to be a simp like that, but definitely was. That was like one of the first movies I got stoned. Like I remember getting really stoned and seeing that. That was when I was first experimenting with all sorts of things. So like it came along at that point in my life, and yeah, I definitely found the movie first, then went back to his work. Man, my favorite Hunter work. There's so much good stuff. Nonfiction, I would probably go with Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail.
Ooh, okay.
Hell's Angels is always a good read. I do like Rum Diary. It's not the greatest book when it comes to fiction, but
I really liked it actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, like really, really enjoyed it. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's warts and all. I think one of my favorite things though, he was writing a column weekly, I forget how often, weekly, monthly for ESPN right around the turn of the century that I was like reading all the time. But yeah, man, I don't think you can go wrong just going back and reading his old Rolling Stone stuff. Always just a good guy had such an interesting outlook on life and a way of approaching it. It didn't all work out well for him, but there's always that zest and that mania, I think is always the good keep around in some form, whether it be large or small is up to you. But I think you got to keep the crazy around, man. It keeps life interesting.
Dude, yeah, the Gonzo lifestyle is not for the weak-willed. All right, like I mean,
no,
you have to lean
it's
in.
not. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to lean in all the way, but that doesn't mean you can't be a regular square and keep it Gonzo. Every now and again. You know what I mean? I think a good Gonzo trip is good for the soul. I think you got to have trips like that where you just while out and decompress and see lizards in the. Dude, that scene when they turned to lizards in the casino always fucked me up. That movie was so well done with the visuals.
The way
I did see Where the Buffalo Roam, another classic.
Yes,
So Bill Murray, absolutely. Oh yeah, Silverton. Yeah, you guys in the chat, if you're Hunter S. Thompson fans, let us know your favorite book and or work by him. But yeah.
Very much like you, I was introduced with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I mean, it's an incredible, wild story. It's so riveting, man. Like it's just like it draws you in because there's no way to understand where you think it's going to end up going. Just zigs and zags, and it's so wildly bizarre that it's just like so incredibly entertaining. If I had to choose a favorite work, though, it would have to be, and this is so bad, right? But like I'm choosing, I believe it was in The Great Shark Hunt. If only for the reason that, like you had said, he wrote for ESPN and he was a huge sports fan. he makes sure to call out particularly Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers for ruining the NFL by introducing the boring ass run plays that destroyed the league, that absolutely just like took away everything that was exciting about football and made it this pedestrian thing. And how dare they? Green Bay, you were put on notice by Hunter S. Thompson, and I appreciate him for it.
Always good in my book, then. Yeah.
Yes.
Who needs Green Bay anyway?
Not
And
this guy.
Lombardi is a bum.
Yes. The Hallis Trophy is where it's at.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, we got the legend in the building. Station
Brother
Bro
Joe.
Joe. Hope you're doing well, bro. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us, man. Hope your week's going well. Can't wait to see you on Friday, bro.
I was gonna say, must be taking a break from getting those pipes ready.
Yeah, man. This week, bro, what do you pump for?
Dude, this week sucked. Like I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on Front Street. And I say that not because the books that we got suck, but because some of them, when I was putting the slides together and when I got to the shop, things got pushed at the last second. So Black Canary, not at the shop. Space Ghost, not at the shop, not getting released. I was ticked off, man. So like,
that sucks.
yeah, I thought there was going to be at least a healthy amount, and I know it's the 5th Wednesday, but like, man, it really, really dwindled down the books that I thought I was going to be getting. As far as my excitement level, Seasons has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Lost Fantasy, Kurt Pierre's. If you're not hip to Kurt Pierre's, you have to check out his work. He's done incredible things for the Comixology original series. A lot of great books there. Money is a standout for me. Heist is another one. They also did Indigo Children previously through Image, that I think is going to be coming back as well. But Lost Fantasy has got me totally hyped. We don't get enough fantasy comic books nowadays. I feel like we get Conan, which is great, but it leans into the barbarian portion of it. I want high fantasy.
Bring back that pulpy, like sci-fi weirdness, man. I'm totally with it.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that. And you already know, and I'd already hit you up like, did you read Ultimate Spider-Man? But did you read it though? Did you read it? So I'm really, really excited to talk about that when the time comes.
Talk about that one next week, bro. I'm so excited. Yeah, absolutely. I think Ultimate Spider-Man and Seasons are the only two on that. I don't have League of Comic Geeks up right now, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I didn't even think about it being the 5th Wednesday. So It is what it is, but always find something worthwhile to conversate about.
Yeah, I will say that Wes Craig is on the silent issue for G.I. Joe this week.
Oh shit!
So be on the lookout. Yeah, that's it's Wes Craig, right? Yeah, need I say more?
They've done a good job with this creative team so far that I've seen.
They've done amazing. You kidding me? Leonardo Romero, Danny, like they've been fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Real quick. Talk to him real quick about the Patreon.
Dude, check out the Patreon here. We're doing we're making sure to get out the everything, basically Ink and Insights, right? Whether it's our interviews here that we're doing. Speaking of which, we just had a fantastic interview with Ian Bertram, who has a Kickstarter for Acheron, their sketchbook that's going to be coming out. That was over on Comic Culture's channel just last night. So catch the replay if you weren't there live. Heck, if you were there live, go revisit it because it was glorious. It was a fantastic time. But as always, you can find us on all the socials here. So for me, 9 Panel Grid, the number 9 Panel Grid on YouTube and Blue Sky with 9 NINE Panel Grid on Instagram. We're putting out a lot of amazing stuff here. We're finalizing what our issue 2 of the newsletter is going to look like and feel and be. We're on the final stages of that, so be on the lookout for that. But other than that, like I said, you're always going to catch the preview of the slides that we're going to be talking about on this very show each and every week, and a whole heck of a lot more. So, yeah,
man. Yeah, check out that Ian conversation, guys, and of course you can find me on Blood Splatter Shatter every Wednesday afternoon, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. And I will be back on Blame Fable and His Amazing Friends this Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern as well. But yeah, thank you guys all for joining us in the chat, always making this an amazing show. We appreciate y'all engaging with us and showing up and supporting us here every week. Make sure you hit up that Patreon. You can catch all them sneak peeks of what we got coming out. But until next week, we'll see y'all later. Station.